Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. So, before I get into the video, I'd like to ask you all to please leave a like or comment on my video, consider subscribing to my channel, and if you don't like the content, please leave a dislike and a comment. So, today's video is going to discuss strategy in game. Now, strategy in game forms in multiple parts. The first strategy you need to think about is progression. Once you have started progressing past a certain limit, you have to dictate yourself into that progression. And with the update coming up in the next few days, there's going to be a chance for you to change that progression. But it does come at a loss to you, and it does come at a heavy cost. It comes at the cost of 500 blacks, and it comes at the cost of 500 million SP. So, considering everything and the overall gains that you have, losing 500 million SP isn't a small loss, it is a massive loss. It's one whole skill completed. So, thinking about it, let's see where these things are going to come into effect. A lot of players have branched off into mining PvE or PvP. Now, changing these SP aspects of your game is going to help you play a different type of game style altogether. That means that all my best builds have been nullified starting tomorrow. So, after the maintenance comes out tomorrow, none of my best builds are going to be best builds anymore because of the versatility change that just launched into the game. And players can be switching from destroyer mains to battle cruiser mains almost instantly, and it's not really going to affect them in a negative way. They're going to be able to catch up and supersede where they were with their destroyers. Players are going to be able to swap straight out of mining into PvE, and it's not going to hurt them all that much because they're going to progress all the way through. It's just going to cost them the SP to start changing and swapping around their SP. Now, overall, it is only 500,000, and 500,000 is only a few weeks worth of time in the game, negated from those who are playing at that level who can afford to do it very easily. So it isn't really that much of a harm. Now, let's consider the next aspect in this whole swap over. There is an advantage for players who have been playing perfectly right through, and there is the advantage for a player who sticks to their class despite having this ability at their disposal. That means that my ship right now, say for example the battle cruiser, I can use the same build effect that they are bringing into the game and improve my ship. I can take out all of my mining skills and pump them onto my battle cruiser. Sorry, not my battle cruiser, into my cruiser. And I can have an expert level cruiser right now at T7. And considering the advantage of it, I might even think about doing it. And that's how you should be thinking. Even though these have negative effects with them, you need to think about where you are progressing, where you're going to go, and what are the advantages of taking these risks. Overall, as I said, my best builds are all being cancelled out by this new feature. My best builds were working out very well because of progression of most players through the game and how you had to balance your building and progression to get to where you wanted to go. But right now, with the sudden ability to change, that means everything that you did when you were in your first 2 weeks of the game can now just be simply ripped out of the first 2 weeks and thrown into the advantage of this portion of the game. While you are falling 2 weeks behind overall in progression, and it's going to come up slowly over time. So you thinking about it as, yes, now that makes sense to me. I can do it. Why is he giving this right now in his content? So overall, what this is going to do is change the way that you are focusing your research. For example, let me just open my research. And I did tell you that I made some mistakes in the start. I'm going to go and I'm going to open my industry. Now, looking at it, the first thing that I did was I invested in frigate manufacturing. Now, I'm just going to go open the skill 3 effects and I'm going to look at how much is invested in. I'm judging it just based on the fact that I need another 60,000 SP to complete this. 60,000 wasn't all that much. That's all that I'm missing. No, this one isn't worth it. But let's say, for example, you were confused about where you wanted to go in the start, and you went very hardcore into mining. You learned a lot of strip mining, a lot of mining, and now you aren't even mining anymore. You're playing full PvE. So, what is the option for you at this point? You can go in and you can start changing up where you were. You could actually change everything about your research. Just wanted to see something, yeah. Okay, so overall, I have quite a bit of skills which are in my industry that should be on my military, and I have a few little skills that are all over the place. Now, gathering up all of that SP and throwing it into my missile expert research all of a sudden sounds like a good idea. I might be able to catch up to where I should be. And then I can start getting my cruiser up to an expert engineering or expert command and getting it better suited to speed tank even better than it currently can. And those are all things that I should be thinking about, things that I should be investing towards as I play the game. I could push it into drones, get a little bit more range from my drones, so I can play two weapons at optimal range. It's a little bit more firepower, it's a little bit more damage, it helps me a little bit more. And it's good for PvE. PvP, I might be thinking about going into the electronic warfare. Complete all that research all at once instead of having another lot of research somewhere else. I'm not even sure where it would be. But there is the advantage right now, as of this minute, where you can go and what you can do. So let's move on to the next part, in-game strategies. So, okay, wait, before I even go to the gaming strategy, you need to consider your pros and cons, how much you are gaining, how much you are losing. Is it worth it or is it not worth it for you to go through with reallocating your SP? And this is based on everybody individually. Some players who went balanced and weren't sure where they were going till they reached the later part of the second month in the game, which is now, you might want to take out one whole section of the gameplay. Example, if you did a ton into manufacturing and you don't manufacture, take out all that research, put it into your military. If you research a ton into military and you don't PvE or PvP at all, take out all that research from your weapons and throw it into your industry. Take it from your ship commands and throw it into your industry. You just need your frigates and your industry vessels. Now, all of that makes a major difference to your gameplay. But let's say someone like me, I'm only going to gain something like 200 SP at the loss of 500 SP total gain. That's not worth it for me. 200 minus 500, I'm losing 300 SP to gain 200. It's not worth it. If I'm gaining something in the range of a million SP and losing 500, I don't mind it. It's worth it to me. I'm gaining that in one field. I'm just losing 500 out of nowhere. So that's going to help me. 500 thousand SP, perfect. Grow up one of my skills. I have a little bit more for combat range, combat rig. I can use it in the future. Okay, now moving on to your in-game strategies. Once these come into the game, you need to remember that your research dictates your gear. Now, if you were totally into missiles like me when this game started, or like the majority of players are in missiles, you now have the opportunity to change your weapons. It's also the possibility with that whole SP this thing. But think about it. If you have missile research, you need to have the right missiles for PvE, for the right missiles for PvP, the right missiles for each story. You need to know whether your vessel can tank a little bit of damage, whether your vessel can afford to be hit or whether your vessel cannot afford any hits. You need to take all of this into consideration and judge where you're going to play. Now, I know where I can play. I know that I can change my build on the ship very easy to a mid-range fighter, and I'm going to be way more effective than I currently am. But the reason why I haven't is I know that I want that battle cruiser. It's more like a trophy to me. I'm going to build it up with the 2 billion ISK build, and it's going to be one of my trophies. Now, saying that it's already a waste of ISK, why am I doing it? I know that I have over a month to do all my research in this level, and even though it is a trophy ship, I'm going to take it and run it into every single story, and I'm going to one shot all those small stories with that ship. It's literally going to eat through any one of those ships, even that heavy tanked MOA in the For Patriotism against my current Navy character who does 300 damage per shot. It takes about 8 hits to take out the shield, jumping down to a mid-range, a medium-range weapon like a rapid. I'm going to double up my firepower. I'm going to double up my speed of attack. It's going to maybe not take me 8 hits, but 6 hits to get through it. And those 6 hits will take me at the same time as this ship takes 3 hits. Plus, I'm going to be in a closer range, so I'm always going to have the advantage of using my drone. So that's another advantage. And that's why I can use it in those story missions. It has the advantage in those particular missions. Whew. Okay, this is a little bit difficult to complete. But then comes the best pearls. As I said, they're all going to be cancelled from tomorrow. They're no longer going to be considered best pearls. Every single one, even the battle cruisers that might still work in the next stage of the game, I'm no longer considering them best pearls. This upcoming patch negates all of this because a player can now become an expert with the missile tomorrow, an expert with a laser, expert with their drones, and everything changes. You can become an expert with your battle cruiser right now, and you're not even supposed to be at that range where you have that much of power. And once you do it, you're going to be able to go in and smash through the missions even easier than what I'm talking about. And the whole progression, which I previously discussed, is jumping into a battleship in the next stage, doesn't really hold any weight anymore. You no longer have to worry about your progression. So I know that I have just been yammering on and explaining this in this broad spectrum, but you need to think about how you're going to play. And right now is the time when you need to consider everything that you've seen and everything that you've played against. Tanks can now become super tanks. Offensive builds can now become super offense builds. PvP builds can become more effective. Your support fleets can become even more important in the game. And everything right now is about to take that whole massive shift. And once it takes the shift, you're going to have to consider where you are, who you are in terms of play. Basically, it's finding yourself in the game. Now, let's say, for example, I go and I master my command on my Caracal Navy, and I master the engineering. All of a sudden, in my low rigs, the need for the energy regain is not really there anymore. I said if I export out this research, I don't need the energy gain anymore because I'm at expert level. I have that massive energy gain, and adding on this little bit of extra means that maybe I can run a shield a little bit longer, but is it really that important? I could run the same build that I'm running right now, but I could improve my warp stability, meaning I might not have to carry a warp Aurora warp core stabilizer. I might not have to carry a warp core stabilizer on me just because I have that -1, or if I got a better piece of gear from one of the dead spaces, a -2. That gives me bonus against these ships. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to carry an Aurora warp core stabilizer in my low slots. I've opened up a low slot. I now can play a different build. I can now play with different fittings in that slot. I've mastered my shield hardening. I don't have to worry about running my shield hardener as hard as I currently run it. I can run it on and have a super tank. I don't have to worry about those rigs being so much for my efficiency because I'm not going to take that much damage anymore. My shield booster is already as efficient as it was with just those little rigs thrown in. And all this here will play on you. I can improve my damage and still run the same shield build that I was running previously. I'm going to be tanky and I'm going to be lethal. And you instantly see that there as your opportunity. But there's also the other side of the gameplay. I can be an even greater tank than I was previously. My tank can be now over 25,000. I can reach almost 30,000. I can change my fittings. I can put in more extender and more shield boost. I don't have to worry about dropping that power reduction on how much it consumes. And all of this plays into your gameplay. That's because research plays your game. If if you are using my best pearls, and let's say for example you haven't researched 1 ounce of uh, shield booster or shield hardener, and you were running the build that I gave for the caracal in the best builds for tank, your tank is inefficient. It runs out of power super fast. It doesn't tank enough damage. Enemies get through your shield quite easily, and it doesn't help you get through your story missions quite quickly. That's because even with everything that I gave you for it, it wasn't the best. And now, as I said, there's other things which are also affecting it. You have expert command on your ship. You now can break 900 meters per second without your rig fittings on the ship. It's already as good as those basics that you put on the start. And you just thinking to yourself, why waste that slot? I can change it up. I can improve warp core stability. I can improve any other aspect of my ship wherever I was losing. And that's how come my best builds are negated by this recent update. As I said, my best builds are for the time in the game. And now they're no longer going to be able to play like they were. They're going to change from best builds or best fittings to possible builds because they're a possibility. Some players aren't going to jump and change their progression through the game for one little aspect. And I understand it. It's a minus 500,000 SP. It changes your shield building. It changes your weapon building. It changes your armor building. Everything is altered. Now, moving forward, the next thing to consider is your fleet formations. Does it affect the fleet formations that I have given as the best? No, it doesn't. Running them in those balanced states with 2 2 2 2 right through till you have a full 10-man fleet will still work fantastic for you in 90% of gameplay. Running a full assault fleet, it will be okay. It will really hurt a lot of players. But remember, assault fleet, you're still going to run into those 2 assault vessels at the back. You have to take them out while avoiding them attacking you. Okay, wait, no, it doesn't work. Sorry. You still run the risk against those builds. They were built particularly to take that on. It's not going to be one shot right through a complete defensive build. If someone is good enough with the defense, they most probably can tank 2 or 3 shots from a single ship with super damage indicators, basically. No. They'll take 1 2 3 4. They'll take 6 shots from a super damage build. That gives another group of players a chance to hit you 6 times. Your ship takes 6 times the damage that their ship will ever take. So you're just as weak against regular fire. If another glass build hits you, it's 3 shots to destroy you. So in the time that it will take one ship to destroy it, basically you will lose some of your defense against a full assault fleet. You will lose some of your debuff players. It's the way that the game goes, and you have to consider it as a possibility in losses. Your support might even get lost, but there's a stronger uh, play force on the side of the balance build fleet than there is on the glass build fleet. The glass build fleet will lose 6 pilots by the time they reach the mid slot, and by the time they breach through to the attack and the other glass builds, they'll already be down to 3 or 2 players in the fleet. Actually, it's quite a balanced fight. It could go either way. It could be that the balanced fleet will lose. It could be that the balanced fleet will win. It, however, will change if that entire situation is reversed and it's a full assault fleet against a full defense fleet. There is no predicting the outcome. It all depends on ranges. When I say ranges, I mean the range in which the battle is engaging. It all depends on formation of the vessels. It depends on locality of each ship in that entire fleet. It depends on command. Everything changes depending on how you play. So moving forward, you need to think about those strategies and the fact that best pearls have become a thing of the past. I won't be able to make another one of those best pearls because of this new update. It really shifted the game, and the fact that it isn't a pay to win game. Remember, you as a free to play can buy plaques, and those who've paid to buy plaques aren't really gaining all that much, they're just trying to catch up. So we're all in the same boat. We're all around about the same figure. And if they are spending something like $2,000 to try and catch up to you, it's their loss. It's not yours. Don't be saying that it's a pay to win. Pay to wins are, you can buy the Cinnable Elite the Cinnable Elite Cruiser for $100, fully fitted with C-class items. Now that is a pay to win advantage. That is a massive advantage for paying and getting things. Throwing away some cosmetics, throwing away some currency, nothing to worry about. It's nothing that's going to personally affect you. It's just a small advantage. If you're playing hardcore and you're paying on top of that, yes, it's an advantage at that point because you're gaining a little bit of ISK when nobody else will gain. I don't really see the reason why you should be salty about it. I don't see a reason why you should be upset about that fact of pay in the game. It isn't something that's giving them a massive boost. You can triple their gain from $1,000 in an hour in the game if you play right. They could gain that much without spending the money. This game is for everybody. And the pay to win just helps the working class catch up to those who are full time gamers. So, considering everything that I've just said, remember that this game isn't unfair at the moment. It still is very balanced. And I can tell you that personally, I play a game called Ark of War. And when I pay to win and free to play is noticeable in that game, it'll take me, a free to play player, 1 year to catch up with the progress of a pay to win player in 1 month. Now that is a pay to win advantage. That is an advantage that pay to win will love. That is 11 months for one pay, and that's from a starting point of view. And in the rest of the game, they get ahead by getting special classes of ships open for them with the money that they're spending in the game, which would take me years to catch up with. And to be honest, if I'm calculating correctly, it'll take me 5 years to reach those pay to win players. And now you understand what I'm saying, why Eve Echoes isn't really pay to win. The advantage they get is a day, 2 days max. It's not a year, it's not 6 months, it's not like they're getting a million plex each time they purchase something online. A million plex would be something like 200,000, 200 billion ISK. That would be a very big advantage. But they're not buying a million. They're getting stacks of 1,000, stacks of 100 plex. And they don't have to spend it on the duo. They can spend it to sell it to get more ISK. It is fair. It's not pay to win. In case anybody was thinking that this game is heavily pay to win, it's not. And the pay to win factor is just a catch up factor. Working out 500 times the 200,000 each, that's 2 million, 20 million, 100 million ISK basically is all that they're making off that black sale. And considering 100 million, I've made 100 million in 20 minutes running through Nullsec. They can do the same thing. They just don't have the time and they don't have the tolerance to play up all that amount of time, so they've bought a little bit to get a little bit ahead to try and catch up with the game. I don't blame them. People will fall behind, people will do these things. It's a fair and square way of keeping the game competitive. And overall, it isn't pay to win. I'm going to keep mentioning that. Eve Echoes is fantastic for everybody. The free to play and the pay to win can keep playing at this game, and there will be no real noticeable advantage between the two. A skilled player is bound to be as rich as any pay to win can be, and a skilled pay to win is bound to be a little bit more advantageous than any regular player who is just a free to play. And when I say a little advantage, I mean 100 million ISK maximum. That's a joke to you, even as a good player. You're doing billions a day. Considering that's 10% of your reach, he's just getting 10% more. He's fighting as hard as you, he's playing as hard as you. It's not really that big of a difference. He's gained, if he's going to spend that much of money every day in the game, it's going to take him 10 days to gain 1 day over you. And that's not enough, because at that point you already have the same amount. I don't even see any reason to complain about it. It's a fair and square pay to win system. It's not pay to win, it's just a fair pay system. And that's going to be about it on this video. It was an overall discussion on the game. It is before this update coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow's update will go through with reading the patch notes, and then I'll go through with the next build in the support class. I do have a support class build coming out later today. So thank you for watching. Have a good day.